Jeremy Adams, Brandon Peterson, Marco Santucci, and David LaFuente catapult Wally West through different timelines and bodies as the hero finds himself kidnapped by the Speed Force, sent to do something he doesn't know, and leaving Barry and the Green Arrow to try and learn what has become of the new Flash. Jeremy Adams takes on a heavy burden following after Joshua Williamson's long tenure on the book, and he doesn't disappoint, delivering a very fun spin on the Barry loses his powers trope and tying it into Wally West's past wrongdoings as well as the current mysterious Omniverse. Exploring the Speed Force and the idea that it's alive and sentient and using Wally to help heal it is very interesting, and it's been touched on before throughout the series, and I like that it's now the focus of the book. And it's a very interesting way that Jeremy goes about it, since he takes cues from pop culture icons like Quantum Leap to take Wally into the past and to the future and more, exploring the history of speedsters before there was ever a Jay Garrick and long after there was a Barry Allen. Brandon Peterson, Marco Santucci, and David LaFuente all share art duties on the book, and usually I don't like it when art jumps between artists, since there can often be some sort of tonal whiplash that happens, but the way they are utilized, with each of them taking a certain timeline, was really great use of their skills, since it allowed for some variety in cool speedster designs like the Caveman Speedster and his highly detailed jungle from Marco Santucci, or the Impulse in David LaFuente's very angular and bright future set part of the story at the end there. The Flash issue 768 was a fantastic and fun kickoff to the new Flash's adventures, taking a trope that has plagued the character for a long while and flipping it on its head, tying it to the larger Infinite Frontier storyline with the Omniverse, but not forgetting the great character moments that make Barry and Wally two fantastic heroes. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. The Flash issue 768 finds Wally West remembering a lot can happen in the blink of an eye, and one minute you're a normal kid and the next you're fighting crime alongside your hero, or you've fallen in love and become a father, or a cautionary tale. He knows these moments are blinks which are for normal people pass without any notice, but for the fastest man alive, the time it takes to blink an eye, the world can change. Wally confronts the Justice League, telling them that he quits, saying that he loved being a hero and part of the League, but after everything that's happened to Linda, the kids, and Roy, he can't do it anymore. Barry tries to convince him, but Green Arrow says that he's right, and if he's had enough, then that's it, wondering why Barry wants to keep pushing him so he loses control again. Barry knows that that's not fair, and Oliver agrees, but it's the truth, and fair would be Roy Harper standing there instead of Wally, but Barry needs to let him go, since it's safer for everyone. Oliver leaves, saying the kid says that he's done, so he's done, only wishing that he had told them before Sanctuary, and before people lost their lives. Superman knows that Oliver is wrong, but Batman says right or wrong, with the discovery of the Omniverse, they don't have time for heroes who are half in and half out. He hopes Barry can postpone his time with Justice League Incarnate until someone can be found to replace him on the team. Barry agrees as Wally apologizes for doing this, but things back home are now normal and the kids aren't having nightmares anymore, so they're all just breathing a little easier now, and he wants to keep it like that. Barry understands, and as long as this is what he wants, he will support Wally and always will. Barry hugs Wally, who says there is one more thing his friend can do for him. Later in Central City, the Flashes walk down the street with Linda, telling her that if Wally keeps his speed powers, he will use them and he will put her and the kids in danger. Barry says that he can still change his mind about all of this, but Wally is set on doing this and concentrating on family. Barry knows that he will miss this with him, but Wally says he's not dying or anything, he's just hanging up his super sneakers, and Barry can still come round and see Jai and Ira, and he better. Barry says to cut Wally off from the Speed Force, they will need to be moving as fast as they can. Wally hopes that the old man can keep up as the fastest men alive take off. The speedsters race through the world one last time, stopping Bloodsport in Hub City and Metallo in Metropolis, and Ocean Master out in the middle of the sea with a tidal wave. Wally knows that Barry doesn't really get it, knowing that he is his mentor and hero, having chased Barry's legacy for so long that he forgot what it was just like to be him. He knows Barry told him to run towards problems, but doing so means he runs away from the life that matters, and he can't do that anymore. Both heroes know that this is the end of their run, but also the beginning as they enter the Speed Force, and Wally takes off in front of Barry, as the hero knows that he separated people from the Speed Force before, though he never thought he'd need to do it to Wally. Suddenly, there is an explosion and surge of power within the Speed Force, which obliterates Wally. Barry comes out of the Speed Force, finding Wally's costume on the floor of the French street he finds himself on. Bundling up the suit, he takes off, but finds his powers are all gone. Later on, Barry is picked up in a javelin by Green Arrow, who is told that 1 minute Wally's Speed Force connection was about to get severed, but then there was an energy that washed over them and he disappeared, making Oliver think that maybe Wally could be dead. Barry knows that he's out there and he's going to find him, beginning to prep the Justice League lab, saying he needs a tachyon emitter and the math to do calculations, and he'll need some help a trick Arrow can't solve this time. Elsewhere, Wally awakens in a jungle dressed like a caveman. He calls for Barry, wondering if his powers are gone, as he finds himself in the Jurassic era. Back in the hall, Barry learns Max, Jay, and Wallace have all lost their powers as well, which means something severed their connection to the Speed Force like it did his. Mr. Terrific arrives, glad to be part of this problem, asking if they have gotten Booster Gold's files on chronography and the time dilation. Barry says he has, and he's contacted President Superman at the House of Heroes, who sent over some suggestions on multiversal tracking, but they haven't come up with anything yet. Oliver asks what does this connection to the Speed Force have to do with Wally disappearing, so Barry explains that the energy that washed over them didn't kill him, but when it hit Wally, he vanished, so the Speed Force most likely took him. Oliver wonders if the Force can even do that, but Barry says that there is still not a lot they know about the Speed Force, but it is connected to the Omniverse at large, and it's like a cosmic radio wave waiting to be picked up by the right conduit, and Wally has a special connection to it. Barry explains to the heroes that the Speed Force seemed to choose him thanks to it being alive, and maybe it's using him for something. Mr. Terrific thinks that it could be punishing him for his abuse of power, but Barry doesn't think it has that level of consciousness, since it's more primal and it could be rebooting, or as Oliver puts it, be wounded, and maybe the Speed Force is nursing its wounds. This leads to Barry theorizing that why it wants Wally, which is to help fix it. The heroes work out that if he's still connected to the Speed Force, then they can track Wally down. Barry gets to work as in the prehistoric timeline, Wally explores the jungle, trying to deduce what exactly this is since he time traveled before, but this doesn't feel like it. He finds some water, intending on getting a drink, but upon looking into the clear water, he finds that he doesn't look like himself, but someone else. He realizes that he looks like a caveman, thinking that he's inside the caveman's body or something as a giant alligator tries to eat him. Wally speeds backwards, signaling to him that at least he's got his speed powers still. Wally thinks that he'll be able to jump into the Speed Force and take them to the future, since at least there Barry can help them try and figure this out. He speeds off through the jungle, soon becoming trapped in a stampede of dinosaurs before zipping down the neck of one of them like Fred Flintstone. Suddenly he's attacked by a Speed Force wielding Velociraptor. Flash meanwhile gets Mr. Terrific to connect the vanishing point to the Speed Lab and to the League satellite, so the T-spheres he's using can send Barry's voice into the Speed Force with a tachyon emitter, and hopefully if it works, they can contact Wally. Barry gets ready, calling out to Wally as he is attacked by a dinosaur. Wally throws the Velociraptor off as it speeds back to him in an instant, shocking the heroes since they aren't supposed to do that. The very fast dinosaur attacks. Giving chase as Wally finds Barry's voice in his head. Barry tells his friend that he's talking to him through a tachyon emitter in the Speed Force as Wally races up the side of a volcano. Learning Barry is trying to get him, but Wally tells him that he's not in the Speed Force, he's in some Jurassic Park era. Barry thinks he means the 90s, but Wally says that it's the real deal since he's being chased by a Velociraptor with speed, thinking that the dinosaur has been infected by the Speed Force. The dinosaur continues to chase Wally as he tells Barry that he believes that his consciousness is inside some sort of caveman's body, wanting Barry to work on it fast since the Velociraptor isn't giving up anytime soon. Wally speeds into the jungle, hiding in the thick brush. He tells Barry to be quiet in his head since he's trying to listen for the Velociraptor, as Barry quietly tells him that he got caught in a surge of Speed Force energy that catapulted his consciousness to an open conduit of power somewhere in the timeline. The man wonders why him, and Barry knows it's because he's got the strongest Speed Force connection, and it might be trying to fix whatever went wrong with with him. Suddenly, the dinosaur comes back, causing Wally to speed off, knowing that he will eventually miss all of this one day. Suddenly, the dinosaur begins shaking as the Speed Force power within it explodes outwards. Wally tries to escape the explosion, but it engulfs him and much of the world. Barry loses connection with the hero as Michael tries rerouting power, but Oliver warns him it's too dangerous. Barry wants to try again, telling him to get out of the way, but Oliver says that they have all lost people and he's not letting Barry sacrifice himself in hopes his message in a bottle reaches Wally at some point. Barry knows that it's not his choice, but Michael calms them both, saying their unresolved issues are unnecessary variables in this and it won't bring Wally back. Barry says that this shouldn't have happened and if they just forgave him, he wouldn't be in this situation, but everyone looked at him like a pariah, so of course he wanted to stop being a hero, and now he's gone and Oliver can't say he wouldn't do the same thing for Roy, even if it meant putting his life on the line. Oliver knows that Barry is right, telling them to power up the machine as Wally's voice breaks through. Wally says the dinosaur that was chasing him exploded thanks to the Speed Force and the energy catapulted his consciousness back into the timeline. Mr. Terrific thinks that the energy is out of control and maybe it's what Wally is there to fix. Barry agrees with his friend, knowing it makes sense and the surge is more like a live wire that needs to be shut down. Barry asks where Wally is now, so Wally reveals he's in the future, and not just that, he appears to be in the body of Bart Allen. Barry is glad since that era has time travel tech and they can use it to get him home and they can fix him. Wally gets to work but suddenly is attacked by a Dominator as the Gold Beetle arrives, telling Impulse to run.